जो सुमिरत सिद्धि होई, गणनायक करिबर बदन, करौ अनुग्रह सोई, बुद्धि राशि शुभ गुण सदना. May Lord Ganesha, the leader of Shiva's retinue, whose very thought ensures success, who carries on his shoulders the head of a beautiful elephant, who is a repository of wisdom and an abode of blessed qualities, shower his grace.
After having written 7 Sanskrit shlokas invoking the divinities and seeking their blessings, Goswami Tulsidas proceeds with invoking the divinities in the Avari language, which is a dialect of the Hindi language, a dialect that is spoken in the region of Awadh, which is the birthplace of Sri Ram. And in this beautiful 5 sortas, Tulsidas has so eloquently paid obeisance to these deities that these 5 verses, which is commonly called the Sumiran, taken from the first phase, Jo Sumirat, that which is remembered, or by remembering which. And these 5 verses are generally read by anyone reading the Ramayana, or any part of the Ramayana. They would first precede the reading by these 5 verses. And these 5 verses sets the tone and the mood for the recitation of any other verses that has to be recited. These verses are full of meaning and very, very conducive to the mood of devotion that is required when the Ramayana is being read. In this first verse that has been read now, Lord Ganesh is evoked, and his grace is sought. It is said in this verse that Lord Ganesh is the very personification of intellect or wisdom, Buddhi Rashi. He is also the abode of all good virtues, Shubha Guna Sadhana. Lord Ganesha is praised first in the Sumiran verses.
मूक होई बाचाल, पंगु चढ़ई गिरिबर गहना, जासु कृपा सो दयाल, द्रवौ सकल कलिमल दहना. May that merciful Lord, whose grace enables the dumb to wax eloquent and a cripple to ascend an inaccessible mountain, and who burns all the impurities of the Kali age, be moved to pity.
The second verse of the Sumiran does not make it clear to which deity it is addressed. It is addressed to an unknown deity. But the deity who makes even the dumb speak eloquently, who makes even the cripple climb inaccessible mountains, and whose grace removes all the sins of the Kali Yuga. Sometimes commentators of the Ramayana think that this is a continuation of an invocation to Ganeshji, because these verses can apply to him as well. Sometimes it is felt that these verses are actually addressed to Sri Ram, because in this 5 verses of Sumiran, Ram is not featured at all. So it is believed that these verses are addressed to Shri Ram without his name being mentioned. This idea is substantiated with the fact that since the first verse is dedicated to Shri Ganesh, and Shri Ganesh got the status of being worshipped first amongst all the deities because of his tribute and his dedication to Shri Ram. It is said in our Ramayana that Ganesh became the deity to be worshipped first because he wrote the name Ram on the ground and he walked around it 3 times, which is equivalent to circumambulating the whole universe 3 times. And that way, through his wits and his intelligence, he won the race of going around the universe 3 times. And because of his reverence and his obeisance to Shri Ram, this verse bridges the gap between Ganeshji and the next verse, which is addressed to Lord Vishnu. So that personality that bridges the gap between Lord Ganesh and Lord Vishnu is Shri Ram himself, because Ganeshji attained a very high status because of his acknowledgement and his reverence to Shri Ram. And in the next verse, which is Lord Vishnu's verse, Shri Ram is of course the very avatar of Lord Vishnu. So he is the bridge between Vishnu and Lord Ganesha. So therefore, some Mahatmas or commentators feel that these verses are addressed to Shri Ram, which makes perfect sense.
Neela saroruhasyam taruna aruna barijanayana karau somama uradham sada chira sagara sayana. May the Lord, who ever sleeps on the ocean of milk, and who is swarthy as a blue lotus, and has eyes resembling a pair of full-blown red lotuses, take up his abode in my bosom.
This verse is dedicated to Lord Vishnu, and it asks for the grace of Lord Vishnu. It asks for Lord Vishnu, who is omnipresent, because the name Vishnu itself means all-pervading. But even though Lord Vishnu is present in everyone's heart, but Tulsidas asks that Lord Vishnu, who is already present in his heart, should be manifested there, so that Tulsidas will be always aware and conscious of the presence of Lord Vishnu in his heart.
Kunda indu samadeha umaramana karuna ayana jayi dina paraneha karau kripa mardanamayana. May the crusher of Cupid, Bhagwan Shiva, whose form resembles in color the jasmine flower and the moon, who is the consort of Goddess Parvati and an abode of compassion, and who is fond of the afflicted, be gracious.
This verse is addressed to Lord Shiva. It describes him as fair complexion like the lily, and who is a consort of Mother Parvati, who is always compassionate to those who are wretched and miserable, and who is the destroyer of Kamadev. Kamadev is the god of desire and lust, and where Lord Shiva is, because he is the eternal yogi, he is the eternal renunciate, and therefore desire or lust cannot go near him. If desire or lust goes near him, that itself will be destroyed.
Bandau Guru Padakanj Kripa Sindhu Nararupa Hari Mahamohatama Punj Jasubachana Rabikara Nikara. I bow to the lotus feet of my Guru, who is an ocean of mercy and is no other than Sri Hari himself, in human form, and whose words are sunbeams as it were for dispersing the mass of darkness in the form of gross ignorance.
This last verse of the Sumiran is addressed to the Guru. Tulsidashi pays obeisance to his Guru. Throughout the Ramcharitmanas, Tulsidashi makes no mention of his Guru except in this verse. And here he says his Guru is the ocean of compassion, and he is God himself in human form. He is Hari in the form of man, Nararup. Indirectly, Tulsidashi is actually revealing the name of his Guru, because Tulsidashi's Guru was a person by the name of Narhari Das, and Narhari means the God in the form of man. And here he said that I bow down to the feet of my Guru, who is an ocean of compassion and who is God himself in the form of man. And he says, the words of his Guru, the teachings of his Guru, it removes the ignorance just as the sun removes darkness. So enlightenment and deep understanding comes through carefully listening to the words of the Guru, who through his compassion removes all the ignorance of his devotees. Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Shri Ram.